What's going on, everybody? You're listening to a new episode of the Post Game Report podcast. So, Helldivers 2. It is a PlayStation exclusive. It is on PC as well. It is now going to Xbox, and that is causing an uproar. Now, for me personally, and I'm going to get this out of the way, I don't give a shit. Really, I don't. There's too much in the world happening right now. Well, specifically in our country and life in general. Being 53 years old, life in general has taught me that there is worse things that you can save your energy and you can worry about later in life. So, with that being said, I understand that people use social media and YouTube, shit like that, or podcast. They use it as an escape. Video games is supposed to be an escape. So, when I see people on my social feeds or I go on YouTube and I see these videos titled, of course, you're going to have your Xbox centric podcast or videos creators. You're going to have them making fun of so called PlayStation people. And then you're going to have people who are heavy on the PlayStation side. They're going to criticize PlayStation heavily. So I have some opinions on this because I've seen videos of people saying they don't no longer want to be associated with PlayStation or that they're going to cancel their PlayStation subscription, their PlayStation Plus, or that the PlayStation brand, is losing its value. I mean, I've heard all kind of weird shit. Now, a lot of it is trolling, and therefore I stay quiet because I follow these people and I know their spiel. And some of it is funny because they will rile up people and people will fall for it. But then you have other people who come off way too freaking serious, and it's a big turnoff because the last thing I want when I go to my Twitter or my X, which I use in several ways. For me, Twitter is a news source because all the news is reported there first. And I use it as a way to stay in touch with the video game community. Now, my version of the video game community is very small. There's only a few people that I will listen to their opinions or their content on YouTube or wherever, and that I would interact with. There's only a few of them. And then there are other people who will report video game news or happenings. And for the most part, they'd be accurate. So I have my X account, I call it Twitter. I have that for that specific reason. So the last thing I want to see is people bitching. And that goes for anything, whether it's movies, video games, politics. And I've stated this that there are grifters on both ends. So whether you are a Democrat or Republican, PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox, on all ends you will find grifters and opportunists. So you will have somebody who will talk shit about PlayStation and then all of a sudden decide to be a PlayStation fan and then turn around and make content against Xbox. Or you'll have a Republican turned Democrat. Yada, yada, yada. The point is, they are going to create this hateful content regardless of what it takes. If that means switching to another side, then they'll do it because these people are talentless hacks They have no talent. All they were able to do was find an opportunity. They saw a window and they walked through it and they took everything. Everything they could. And once they were done, they went to another home or whatever, another window. You get the idea. Anyone can put a nice little fancy setup behind them with a bunch of vintage consoles and cartridges. They can look up someone like me, as a matter of fact, on YouTube who will teach you about lighting and how to set up a camera and all that stuff. It doesn't take a wizard to do all that. The people before them, that's where the talent came. They just copied it. They bought a Shure microphone because that's what the other podcasts do. They probably bought the same amp, the same software for Twitch. And all they do is regurgitate the same bullshit. And so you don't know who the fuck to trust. And with this PlayStation situation, which is comical when you consider that Xbox fired a bunch of studios, a bunch of employees. Microsoft, as a corporation, fired 11,000 people. Somebody told me it was 9,000, but I've heard 11,000. Whether it's 9 or 11, it is still an astronomical amount of people that got laid off by a $1 trillion corporation. Now, I own stocks of Microsoft. I own stocks of PlayStation and Nintendo. Nintendo is my biggest, I own the most shares of Nintendo. So I have a vested interest in all of them. It doesn't make me rich, by the way, so I'm not going to pretend that I am. But because I love the industry, I grew up with these brands, and I found the opportunity to invest even further into these brands. So I took that opportunity. And for the most part, all three stocks have, and I'm having a brain fart that's due to my brain injury, but the stocks are doing well. Let's just keep it simple. I also own stocks of, holy shit, I forgot what I was going to say. And for those that don't know, I do have a brain injury, and this is one of the side effects. I forget what the fuck I'm about to say. Roblox. There we go. So I own stocks of Roblox, and when I bought those stocks, Roblox was doing really well, and then it took a dive, but I kept it, and now it's near what I paid for those stocks at the current state. And Take Two, I was supposed to invest in that, and I forgot, and now the fucking stock price is way up there. So, anyway, the point is, and as a matter of fact, I think I even own shares of Tencent, but shares of those are like less than $2 or something like that. Anyway, and I could be wrong on that. I know I have shares of some other stock, gaming stock. But the point is, when I speak on this, I'm speaking from someone who has a vested interest in all three there's only three: Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. And I put it in that order on purpose. As a matter of fact, let me look at my damn portfolio while I talk. So, what I see people, their reactions, I see some people, not everybody. Some people have a very even response to this, right? They're a little surprised, but they're like, you know what? I don't even play the game. Let's see how it performs on the Xbox and see if Sony does it again and with what title. Then you have the overreactors, the ones who say Sony is following Xbox, which is fucking hilarious. That, as soon as I read that, I stop reading and I move on. I've even unfollowed some people or blocked people who have stated this. Now, on my feed, I will see random people still to this day post some weird fucking shit. And some of their gaming takes is so fucking ridiculous that I know they're doing it to troll. Because there is no way that a grown adult would wake up and say, today I'm going to post this and I'm going to tell the world how I feel. And they're going to agree with me because this particular take is so freaking awesome. It's a mic drop. It's anything but a mic drop. To me, you probably were dropped when you were born and hit your head. So, I don't know. You know, when I read certain things, the first sentence, it'll give me the gist of what you're about to say, and then I move along. And that's my right. It's my feed. I always say it's like Burger King, you have it your way. So instead of letting it bother me, because it didn't fucking bother me, I sat back and I read a few comments. And the first day, usually see the wildest comments. But I kept seeing it all freaking weekend, even through 4th of July. I'm like, guys, it's a holiday, and you're still bitching about fucking PlayStation Helldivers 2 going to Xbox. So you must have a very entertaining life. And I'm still trying to find this fucking app. So that in itself, when someone is, I give it a day and a half. After a day and a half, I still see the same people bitching about the same shit. And the game doesn't come out on Xbox for another few months. So why are you constantly bitching for 3-4 days straight? What are you going to have? You're going to just regurgitate everything when the game finally does come out? You're overreacting. You're creating scenarios in your head, and then you're getting angry about those scenarios that you just created in your head. All because, in some weird way, these people feel that if they don't criticize PlayStation, that they are going to be called fanboys. Because a lot of them criticize Xbox. But here's the difference. Xbox has self-mutilated the brand from within. There have been decisions made for the last 15 plus years. And I know that because it's been that long since I've commented on some of the practices within the Xbox division and how the future of the Xbox doesn't look too fucking good. And then you have people taking credit because 10 years later, they made a few predictions. All of this self-imploding situation with Xbox where they announced they're not going to create hardware. Supposedly. They can change. Microsoft is good at that. So there's a chance that there might not be another Xbox that's created by Microsoft, which is gonna be weird for me, even though I don't own any current Xbox console. But that's by choice because I didn't see a reason to purchase one. I did buy an Xbox, I believe Xbox One. I purchased that one because at the time I thought there was value. But with the PlayStation 5, I've had all the gaming needs that I can ask for and more. Which brings me to Helldivers 2. I've been playing Helldivers 2. I have over 1,000 hours. It's one of the few games I play consistently. I haven't played a game this consistent in a long freaking time. And I can say that Halo 2 was the last game that I played as consistently. And granted, the hours I have on Helldivers pale in comparisons to the hours I have playing Halo multiplayer. But that's how much fun I'm having. I'm having a lot of fun with Helldivers 2. The game has been out for a little over a year, and I still fucking laugh and find funny moments, and I record them and I put them on Twitter or my YouTube channel. And I have a good freaking time, even with randoms. So to me, seeing Helldivers 2 go on Xbox, I have no issue with that. Why? Because as a game as a service that they call it, or they call it gas, eventually the player count, and I've seen moments where the player count on Helldivers 2 was really low. And you try to find a game with randoms, and it's having a hard time matching you up with other people. So having more players, for me, that's giving the game legs. Financially, well, as someone who holds shares of PlayStation, well, Sony, hey, I'm looking at it from that direction, and I don't find that there's a bad situation here. But first and foremost, I am a fan of the PlayStation brand. And that is the reason why I own shares of Sony. I could have, Sony owns they make camera sensors. They have a camera system that they sell. It is very freaking popular, their camera body. Immensely popular. Why? Because it's a mirrorless camera. It's a small body. It takes great photos and it has great video capabilities. Now, let me correct myself. When I say it takes great photos, the individual is the one who's taking the photos. But the camera is a tool. So a sculptor needs the tools to sculpt. Anyway, that's my photographer rant. But here's the surprise with Sony sensors is that there are many camera manufacturers who use Sony sensors on their cameras, even mobile phones. Would it have been wise for Sony to say, you know what, we're going to keep this sensor on our alpha cameras. We're going to keep it exclusive, even though other camera manufacturers are salivating to have our camera sensor? That would have been a freaking horrible decision. It is on mobile phones. It is on other camera bodies. They are one of the top, if not the top, makers of camera sensors. Their lenses are really good. Not the best in the market, but they are good. And as I stated, people use their cameras for video, mainly video. But a lot of professional photographers will use an alpha camera. There's only a few manufacturers that will not allow other lenses to be mounted on their camera bodies, like Fuji, Leica. but you can buy adapters. And that's. Anyway, I'm going off topic. So, Helldivers 2 on Xbox, I find it to be a good opportunity for the players who continue to play Helldivers 2. That's as simple as I can say it. That is my take. I am not angry. I am not going to pretend that I'm angry. I am not going to say some elaborate shit just to show a group of people that hey, I can criticize PlayStation as well. I'll put it this way. Let's say God of War or Gran Turismo, one of their older franchises. Let's say that found its way to Xbox. Would I be angry? I'd be a little disappointed, and I would be mostly surprised. But in this industry, you shouldn't be surprised. So things happen. And right now, Xbox as a brand is shifting towards being a third party publisher, which is great for them. It's great for Xbox because they have a growing library. They have a shitload of publishers, some that they laid off recently. And so they have the ability to provide a lot of really good games for a lot of freaking people on multiple platforms. And what is that going to do? That's going to give the Xbox brand some value. PlayStation, on the other hand, they make great consoles. They make great freaking first party exclusives. They haven't been the best when it comes to multiplayer. For example, Resistance Fall of Man, it had a pretty darn good player count when it came to their multiplayer. Killzone 2, that was fucking fun as hell. That didn't measure up to Halo or Call of Duty. There's been a few multiplayer focused titles, or single player games that had multiplayer attached to it, but they didn't have the numbers. So when you have a game like Helldivers 2, which has won many awards, and to this day, Arrowhead continues to put out content for Helldivers 2. And the good thing is, you could use the in game currency to unlock some of the newer stuff, the newer weapons, the newer armor. So you don't really have to spend a dime. You just buy the game for $40, and then you use the in game currency to unlock everything else. So they got to make money somehow. Because eventually, regardless how good a game is, unless you're Grand Theft Auto 5, excuse me. Unless you're a game like that, your sales are going to slow down drastically. So to have a game go to another platform and possibly regenerate a large chunk of money or profit in this case, hey, go for it. Because you're going to have a player base that can use a really good multiplayer game besides Call of Duty. It is a fun fucking game, and it's a game that can capture people and hold their attention for a long time, a la myself. And yeah, I'm speaking as a Helldivers 2 fanboy because I am. I enjoy the game. I wouldn't spend over 1,000 hours if I didn't fucking like the game. So I have no fucking problem seeing it go to Xbox. There's a lot of people bitching and moaning, throwing out stupid takes that don't even play the fucking game. If you have someone like myself who has over 1,000 hours, being okay with it, then what does that tell you? It tells you that it is what it is. There's more dire situations that can use our energy, our anger. And I'm not going to get political, but shit, with all the shit we see on the same fucking app on Twitter, we don't get angry at that, but we get angry at fucking PlayStation and use up all our energy for 3 fucking days, even on 4th of July. You're going to bitch constantly about a video game? That shows me that your priorities are kind of screwed up and that maybe your life is so fucking perfect that the worst thing that can happen to you is that Helldivers 2 is going to Xbox. And for that, if your life is that fucking good, congratulations. You know what? You should start a podcast and fucking coach people in how you did it, because a lot of us would love to know. So yeah, one thing I notice, there's been a lot of bad Xbox news, and that's because of its user base and, quite frankly, the people that work at Xbox as well. When you have Aaron Greenberg talking shit, and back in the days, Major Nelson talking shit, and then things backfire, people are going to go at them. And then you have their rabid fan base that all they do is grift. They say a bunch of bullshit every fucking week, and it gets thrown back at them when things don't go as they predicted. With the PlayStation fan base, and I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about the people that create content for PlayStation or anti-Xbox content, because it's hard to tell which is which. So when there's bad PlayStation news, in this case, it's not that PlayStation let go of 11,000 people or closed studios. No. It's that Helldivers 2, a game a lot of these people don't play, is going to Xbox. So for them, that is bad PlayStation news. And so I feel, and I'm not saying this is a reality, but this is how I look at it, it feels like they have a priority that they need to really hammer down on PlayStation news, negative news, because they don't want to come off as a fanboy. That's how I fucking take it. It's like you're making fun of a bunch of people in a specific demographic, but then you think of those same people because you don't want them to start saying negative things back at you because they might think a certain way. So you got to freaking really hammer down on the brand that you call yourself a fan of. That's how I take it. And listen, the PlayStation brand is not perfect, but you know what? PlayStation has been doing this for a very long time. They have been successful for a very long time. Not as long as Nintendo. But Sony, as a corporation, they have other things going on. It's not like Nintendo, where Nintendo is just focused on its games, its console. Sony has to focus on cameras, televisions, binoculars. I don't know if they do make binoculars, but I know, Leica and Samsung and all them. But the point is, Sony, who is also making TVs, cameras, freaking video game consoles, they stopped making computers. They are unlike, let's say, Nikon, that makes camera bodies. Samsung is the same way. They make TVs, they make refrigerators, they make fucking microwave ovens, phones. They have other they have other pieces within their corporation that they need to monitor and make sure it's running good, make sure it's financially stable. And for Sony, the PlayStation brand is successful as hell. So is their camera system. We don't know if one feeds off the other. We don't know that. And it's not our job to fucking know it. And that's the biggest difference nowadays within the last 15 plus whatever years. Within the video game community, we have gotten information that we've never gotten before. And I've been playing video games since 79. And throughout the years, never once did I say, you know what, I would love to know the financials of Sega. Or, man, I wish Nintendo would communicate with me and tell me what's up ahead and tell me their freaking upcoming strategy for us Nintendo fans. Never once did I fucking say that growing up. I see that shit a lot on Twitter. PlayStation is not communicating with us. I don't like that. Well, then, you know what? Go apply for a job and work for PlayStation. Fucking simple. And then the things that they're complaining about, that in this case Sony is doing, they're doing it with their brand because some of these people have a nice audience in their YouTube channel or podcast, whatever the fuck, or they have a lot of followers on X or Twitter, and then they have the blue check mark. And they're doing similar shit, right? Similar business practices that you see with PlayStation or Xbox. And then they complain that a multi-billion-dollar corporation is doing what some YouTuber with 20 plus thousand views or viewers, subscribers, you're comparing yourself with them. But it's okay for you to do it. But a corporation that is worth billions of dollars, where in Japan, these people need to perform, those who work for Sony, or they're going to get their asses kicked out. They got a fucking job to do. So they're not going to care that you want more communication. They got to do what they got to do. They got to do their job. First and foremost. If you notice the days of having these executives be interacting with the community, those days are over. We used to have Reggie for Nintendo. We used to have freaking, before Phil Spencer, you had Peter Moore. And that's a few executives before Phil Spencer. And then PlayStation, you had, I can't believe I forgot his name, but it was a guy who also works for Xbox now, by the way. He was like, he was like the face of the PlayStation community. I can't believe I forgot his name because I met him quite a few times. Nice guy. But he walked over to Xbox for a reason, because they saw the value that he had within the PlayStation community, and he was very active within the community. And I swore at the time that he was going to replace Major Nelson. But with Xbox, you have Major Nelson. Major Nelson used to fucking blog. He used to do an audio blog about his brand new toothbrush. And then he would start talking about some of the insides of Xbox and what they're doing. He came off natural. He was likable. And I met Larry a bunch of times. When I was involved in the gaming industry, he wouldn't know who the fuck I was whenever we saw each other. Funny story. And I'm sure I've talked about this before, but funny side story. Gears of War 3, when the launch of Gears of War 3, Xbox was going to do a launch party at the Best Buy uh, theater in Manhattan, like 43rd Street or whatever, in Times Square. And you had to go register and try to get tickets, blah, blah, blah. You know, they were free admission. But, you know, first come, first serve type of thing. So the night of the launch event, a bunch of my friends who were writing for websites, they owned their own websites, or they were podcasters, a bunch of them from New York were going. And I kept getting texts, yo, you're going? What time you going? Blah, blah, blah. And by then, I had already strayed away from the industry side of things. I was actually working for the ECA, but I was doing it more as from a business side, right? But I wasn't involved in with any publishers or things like that or studios. So I say, you know what? I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm going to go over there and I'm going to just meet up with a few of the people that I know. And then when everybody, you know, goes into the venue, I'll come back home. So I did that. I drove down there. This was back when you could drive to Manhattan and not fucking get caught in a 40-minute traffic jam. So I show up. I see a few people that I knew, right? I see a bunch of people. Hip Hop Gamer was there. A bunch of people I know, right? I turn around and Larry Herb is standing by the entrance. And he looks at me and he nods his head and I nod my head back and I'm like, what's up, Larry? He's like, hey, how you doing, JVB? Now, before that, there was an issue, right? I was an Xbox MVP and they blamed me for leaking some type of information about the upcoming Twitter app that was going to be on the Xbox 360. I posted a screenshot of me tweeting from the Xbox 360, not knowing that I was not supposed to do that. Me and a few other people were essentially booted out the program because of this. But the reason why we did it was because every website that talked about video games, even non-video game websites were already reporting on this and using it. So we figured, oh shit, cat's out the bag. We already been using it for like a week. So I was like, all right, I guess cat's out the bag. We're allowed to talk about it as well, right? So lo and behold, I get an email saying, oh man, you know, you might be kicked off the program because of the Twitter app. You weren't supposed to talk about it. So I explained myself and I said, listen, it is what it is. If I get kicked out, at least for 3 years, I was able to contribute and be in this program that a lot of other people would like to be in. And for that, I thank you guys. And he's like, I'll get back to you. And he did and told me, hey, they took you out. Larry Herb, aka Major Nelson, and E, who was running Xbox Live from a technical standpoint, but was popular within the Xbox community. They said he was also disappointed. So I said, all right, you know, so be it. I said, my intentions weren't bad. So thank you. And, you know, have a good one. So when I saw Larry Herb, he nods at me, I nod at him. And we, you know, I walked up to him and said hello. And so to finish the story really quick, because same thing happened with E at a Boston Shit, not Comic-Con, PAX, where we looked at each other and were like, oh shit. And then I walked up to him. He shook my hand. He's like, how you doing? And we talked about the situation and talked for another half an hour, squashed whatever. So Larry Herb, he leaves, right? He leaves. He goes inside the Best Buy Center. And out comes a few of my friends who have camera gear. And I'm like, they're like, oh shit, man, when did you get here? I'm like, a little while ago. I'm going to leave after everybody goes in. And Chris is like, why? I'm like, I didn't register, so I don't have a ticket, blah, blah, blah. And he looks at me, he's like, fuck that shit. Here, take my camera and walk in with me. And he had a movie, like a movie production size camera. You had to put it on your shoulder. So here I go. And I'm like, yo, but Larry Herb just saw me. He probably knows I never registered. He's like, fuck that shit. You're with me. So boom, we go in. Security looks at me and go, who is that? He goes, oh, he was late. He's with us. And I went in before the fucking line even started. I was already eating finger food and all kinds of shit, playing video games, playing Gears of War 3 on 360 kiosk that was set up all over the place. And when my friends started going in, they're like, how the fuck you get in here? I was like, hey, the saying that it's who you know. It's true, especially in the gaming community, in the gaming industry. So it's when I used to be involved, I saw how the industry was running. I can tell you, because I've heard inside information from employees of Xbox, I can tell you that back in the day, 2010, even earlier than that, when Xbox was at its freaking peak with the 360, Microsoft as a whole did not respect those who worked for Xbox. They didn't consider the Xbox a valuable commodity. They felt like it was a waste of time. And this was legitimate information from someone who I am still friends with. So I always knew that shit. I didn't go around saying it, but I knew in the back of my mind. So when I saw certain things, I said, holy shit, the shift is starting to happen. It started with the freaking Kinect. And that's when I knew, all right, things are going to change. And I started to warn people. And then they got rid of the community team, the Xbox community team that would go around to different freaking parts of the country and interact and throw these events for Xbox, like Xbox fans. And it was a really great experience. It was a great thing what these guys were doing for the Xbox team. They were letting them go little by little. And I was like, holy shit, the community as we know it for Xbox is going away. And the shift is changing. Microsoft is going a different direction, and I don't like it. And I started speaking up on that. And those people that I was friendly with within the industry, a lot of them were surprised because I was one of the biggest pro Xbox people. I was one of the biggest. And it wasn't because I was fanboying and lying and grifting like some of these losers on Twitter. I wasn't doing that because we wouldn't let each other do it. We were honest. And the times that a game came out, like Heavy Rain for the Xbox 360, that game was a total piece of shit. and I told people, hey, this game is a piece of shit. When Crackdown, I was flown to the Xbox campus, well, Microsoft campus. I previewed Crackdown, the first one. I previewed it. We were given copies of it. We were told, hey, review it. Be honest. I said, all right. It was me and a few other, about 12, 15 other people. Some I'm still friends with. And I gave it a 7 out of 10. And people were like, yo, what the fuck's wrong with you? And I was like, excuse me? They're like, yo, how can you give it a 7 out of 10? I was like, what the fuck you mean? That's a great fucking score. I was like, what's the problem? And they didn't want to tell me. They were like, oh man, you may never be flown back again. I said, so be it, bro. They told me, the devs told me, be as honest as possible. And I said, hey, there's no other way. When I was flown to the same campus for the Halo 3 launch, they knew I was a huge Halo fanboy. So they knew whatever feedback I was going to give them was going to be legitimate because I wanted the brand to be as great as possible. So I had a good relationship with Xbox, within the industry. And so when I say Helldivers 2 going to Xbox, it's no big deal. That's because the brand Xbox, that community is going to need as many fucking games for whatever hardware they're going to be playing their future Xbox games on. They may not have another Xbox console coming out. And when that happens, when there's no official Xbox X number 2, and I'm just using some random name, when that happens and they don't no longer have a launch date for a new console for the next generation, they either got to stay with their current system or get something that is made by Asus or whatever. It might be a PC. Or, guess what? It could be a PlayStation 6. Has anyone thought about that shit? That maybe Xbox guys, well, Xbox owners, current Xbox owners who are going to play Helldivers 2, maybe when Microsoft decides no more Xbox consoles, maybe they say, you know what, fuck this shit. When the PlayStation 6 comes out and all the fucking third-party Xbox titles are on the PlayStation 6, I'm just going to get a PlayStation 6. I'm not going to go with PC. I'm not going to buy a freaking handheld PC that can play my Xbox games for 3 hours, if that, off its battery. That's my thinking. And I have the history of knowing how the industry works. It wasn't a shocking situation because PlayStation said any games as a service that we make is going to go to other platforms. The real talking point would be if The Last of Us wound up on an Xbox. If there's an Xbox to be available. Right? We can't let go of that. But anyway, this Helldivers 2 situation with PlayStation and Xbox, it's comical. Unfortunately, I thought all the fucking grifting and overreacting, I thought that was like over with, right? I thought I got rid of those people. Now I'm back to like looking at my feed, and if I see something that is totally stupid, remove or block. If I don't know them, I block them. If I follow them, I got to think about unfriending them or muting them, depending on what they say. If it's something really fucking stupid, then that means this is not the same individuals that I followed a few years ago that at one point I respected what they said. No. If they say something outlandish that is purposely done to grift, to generate some type of attention, then guess what? We no longer have something in common. And that's how I got to treat my feeds, because you can go crazy. I don't know. I kind of sound like Christopher Walken there. But yeah, it'll drive you fucking nuts. Reading all of this negativity, it's like, why? Why? There's so much negativity being given to us by our own government on a daily fucking basis. And we got to read it coming from people who's supposed to share the same hobby as I do. Hobbies are supposed to be fun. It's supposed to help you escape from all the stresses that you have in your life. When I do photography, I don't think about fucking Leica creating a iPhone app, right? I'm not saying, oh my God, how can Leica create an app that simulates some of their most classic lenses and their most classic color formulas, because they do have an app. It's called Leica Lux. And I tell you what, the fucking calculations they're doing with that software, it's pretty fucking scary, because I tested it out. I'm even paying the subscription, $6.99 a month. It'll take your iPhone and make your photos look like professional photos. And I own a Leica. I own a Leica Q3 that has a 28 millimeter lens. And the damn thing by itself, the lens by itself, because the lens is attached to the body. I can't change the lens. That lens by itself, had I bought it, would come out to about $4,000 if I bought it on its own. So some of the simulations you're getting from camera lenses from Leica that cost about $5,000. And you're getting the Leica look, you're getting aperture, you're getting bokeh, you're getting 1.2 apertures, and it simulates that shit really nice. I'm a Leica fan, right? Am I here bitching? I'm sure somebody is on the internet, though. But am I here bitching that Leica has this app that simulates some of the qualities that we practice, right? Knowing which aperture to take for a fucking portrait, knowing about lighting and knowing about composition. It's all being done by some software. Am I bitching that I had to learn all this shit? And how dare Leica do this? Absolutely not. Because Leica is going to get money from the subscribers. People who cannot afford a Leica or never thought about buying a Leica, they may buy it. Or they'll keep subscribing because they like taking photos with their phone, and they do it more than anything else. And now they can up the quality of their photos. There's nothing wrong with that. But people got to bitch about a lot of shit. A lot of unimportant shit. And that's That's the kind of person I really don't want to see on my feeds. There's too much of that shit, and I don't need to see phony fucking news from actual news station, and then I don't need to go on my Facebook or Twitter feed and see phony outrage over fucking video games. I don't need that fucking shit. I don't watch Fox, so I'm not going to listen to these people either. And that is the best way for your mental health, right? That's the best way to monitor your mental health, get rid of all the negativity. Let shit develop. Let shit develop. The worst thing that can happen to Helldivers 2 is that people on Xbox won't buy it. That's the worst fucking thing. On PlayStation and PC, it's being played. So it's going to be fine. Let the shit play out. There's no time for fucking overreaction. Okay? You do it on day 1, but then you do it day 4? Come on. Now you're fucking... You don't even mean what you're saying at that point. So that's a good way to monitor your mental health. This video game community is small, and I'm talking about the content creators. Because you're going to have folks like me who will create content occasionally and give you an outlook, a different outlook, because not many are going to tell you what I'm telling you. I've seen people say the shit I say after I said it. And all of a sudden, oh my God, this guy is so honest. And I'm like, all right, whatever. But that's the other thing, right? I'm 53. I don't need fucking people giving me accolades for saying something before everybody else. I don't need that shit. Why? It's not going to get me nowhere. Right? It just, for me personally, I know, all right, what I said wasn't fucking crazy. So personally, it's like, all right, I was right on that one. But you're going to get a few folks like me. You're going to get people who are, you know, pretty close, right, to being honest, being blunt. And then you're going to get the people who are cookie cutters. They fucking talk the same. They give out the same phony energy. They got the same microphone in their videos. They got the same lighting, the same background. That's what you got a lot of right now within the video game content community and content creation community. And then you have the fucking negative Nancys. You got on the PC side, you got these weirdos that all have this monotone tone of voice, and they play video clips of somebody else's content. They pause it, they talk shit, they play it again, they pause it, they talk shit. And this is for fucking 60 minutes they're doing this. And they think they're witty, they think they're fucking mic dropping. But all they're doing is showing how fucking annoying and uncreative they are, because there's like thousands of people doing the same shit. Then you get the assholes with the shock face on their thumbnails with the fucking clickbaity titles. I've seen some that PlayStation is doomed. Right? Xbox One. Right? I saw this guy, Crap Gamer. He used to write these fucking Xbox wins again, dominates PlayStation. It's like, what? And then I had to force myself to watch it because his voice sounds like he's pinching his nose with a fucking clothesline pin while he's pinching his nipples. So I'm like, I can't listen to this fucking guy's voice, but I gotta hear what he's saying. And then, like Donald Trump, he says a lot of shit, but he doesn't really say nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck did I just do for 10 minutes? This guy absolutely said nothing to indicate that Xbox is winning, Xbox won, PlayStation lost. And you got a lot of fucking people like that. So you really got to pick the real ones that you can listen to or watch. And as I stated, there's a few that I fucking sit down and watch, like King Thrash or Sick Humor. And those are like really the two that I listen to or watch their stuff. And there's a few others that I can't name right now because I can't remember their names. It's in my head somewhere, but I can't remember right now. There's a few others that on occasion I'll sit down and watch their shit. But for the most part, King Thrash, Sick Humor, those are the two constant that whenever they throw out content, I watch it. And you got to be selective. You got to find content creators that you can relate to and that are giving you some type of real fucking useful information. And you know what? For some people, because these grifters, they're still a small part of our entire society. You know, there's a few thousand people that need to hear how awesome Xbox is, and that's all that matters to them. And they're going to gravitate. You're going to have assholes like Colt Eastwood who are going to have, you know, his fans are going to be fans of, you know, another asshole who creates Xbox content. Like that married couple. I think they're Spanish. I don't even know who the fuck they are, but I've heard the woman's voice, his wife or whatever. God damn, her fucking voice is annoying. And then the husband is like some dude with a beard. He thinks he's fucking tough. And then they're talking like Xbox is so great, PlayStation. Why do people say this about Xbox, but not this about Play? And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? like, and the only reason why I know is because I've seen people play their clips to criticize them. But that's the problem. You give these people attention, and then somebody's going to be curious and they're going to watch their shit, and there's a chance that they might become fans. And that's the whole point. That's what they want. If you ignore them, they go away. Period. Because they're going to have to find a way to stay relevant. So either they continue to make worse content that has more lies, or they actually come up with something that is useful and beneficial to the viewer or listener. So those are the people that take up the spotlight right now, even within our fucking government. So you're going to have to find the right people that have your interests or similar interests as you and can actually respect your time. That's very important. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate those who listen to the post-game report. You know, hopefully I can... I'm actually sitting in a room that is hot as hell. I'm sweating. And that's why I'm cutting it short. I mean, I've been on this for over an hour, so it's not that short. But anyway, thank you. I'll talk to you guys soon.